Okay, so we're gonna do some more coding. It's Friday afternoon. I was gonna go outside, but it's raining, so let's do some chess programming. Um, the thing I want to do today is the Quiescence search that I added last time I hacked on this was working okay. It wasn't amazing. If you look at these games that this bot has played, I played it a couple times. There was I think there was an interesting position that occurred against Stockfish. Where was it? I go to the analysis board. Maybe it wasn't this game. It was a different game. But anyway, there was some position where my bot just completely missed the mate and won, which is really strange, right? That shouldn't happen. Was it this game? What is this? It's playing as black. Yeah, this looks like. Oh, you know what? It wasn't a mate and one. It was just okay. Yeah, that's right. I remember now. So in this position, our bot is winning against Stockfish level 4, which is great. But then it just completely fails. Like right here, it should have checked the king, and it just didn't do that. I don't know why it chose this move. I'm trying to envision. So the thing that it's doing right now is it's doing quiescence search, which means that after it reaches the depth that it wants to search in, it'll try all the different captures that are available. So the thing I want to do today, the first thing I want to do is just fix this. So this is not correct because you might be in a position where making a capture is a bad move. For example, in this position, I guess this one, let's see, there's no captures for if it's white to move. Oh no, it's black to move. Yeah, so like, for example, in this position, if you were to rate this, forget Stockfish. We can just look at the material. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns. Black is down, right? So the white has the extra bishop. So black is down. But worse, if we were to use quiescence search the way that I had programmed it, we evaluate this position by forcing any captures. You have to consider all captures, and so you're forced to consider this capture. This is the only there's these two captures. Both are really bad, right? So here you lose the queen for a pawn. Here you lose the queen for a pawn. And I think that my bot was evaluating this as a position where it's down a queen in addition to a bishop. So we don't want that. So let's look at the code and see if we can get rid of that problem. Where's my... Oh. Here we go. Okay. So this is the code. I can just hide this stuff. We don't need this. Where am I? So there's a couple of changes from last time. I changed the time management so it aims for a 40 move game, and then it goes to 10, something like 1/10. So it tries to use a 40th of the time that it has available, and then it, at most it will go to do 10. At most it assumes that the game will last 10 more moves. At most, no, at least the game will always be at least 10 more moves, meaning that it will never try to take more than 1/10 of its time remaining. Maybe I saw a timeout in one game, so I'll just increase that to 15, but that's fine. Okay, and I want to give it I don't want to over optimize that. So other things that I changed, I guess, yeah, so this is the stuff that I added. This is the quiescence search, and what it's doing, I think the main thing is that I need to allow it to consider not making a capture. The problem with that is it's not completely correct that you can consider not making a capture, because if you don't make a capture, then you might be sort of making an illegal, right? It's an illegal move to not make a capture. So I actually, what is the right strategy here? I mean, you think about how do you evaluate a chess position, right? So one of the things you look for is, if there's a bunch of trades, if there's a sequence of trades, like in this case, this is the bad move, right? So, but suppose instead, let's just edit this board. How do I do that? Whoops. Continue board editor. Okay, let me flip it so I can see from the direction of what we were looking at before. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so right, so this is the situation, and you know, this is a bad, you don't want to make this capture. So that's a bad move. But let's say, just for editing purposes, let's switch these up, and let's say, I don't know, just out of ridiculousness, let's just say the queen is there. So in this position, you want to consider this trade, right? So when we evaluate this position, you can just count the material, but that's not the right thing to do. You actually want to, I mean, so for a computer, like a pure computer algorithm, it wants to consider every single possible move you could make at this point. And you know, so if it's black to move, you could imagine pushing this pawn. You can imagine pushing this pawn either number of steps. Black to move, the king can move anywhere, right? And I guess there's this queen here, so you have to consider all these possible moves. But to human, we really like to look at these captures, right? We like to look at checks, captures. So I guess there's a check here, there's a check there, but the capture is obviously the thing that catches our eye, and so this is what quiescence search does in chess programming. So normally in chess programming AIs just consider every possible move, but that's expensive because you have to look at, there's just tons of moves, right? So the queen introduces a ton of possible moves. The pawn, that's not possible. That's not legal. The pawn has a few moves. The king has a bunch of moves. There's a bunch of moves available, but it's much faster just to consider the really loud moves like captures, checks, avoiding checks. I guess that's it. So quiescence search tries to do that. So it tries to find a quiet position. That's what quiescence means. It's the concept of being quiet. So you're looking for a position that's quiet, and to get to a quiet position, you could consider. I suppose you can consider. Yeah, you would consider this move, and then if you did that, you'd have to think about, well, what would white do in response? Well, white would probably capture back. And that's the value of the position, right? At that point, white doesn't. Then it's black to move. Black no longer has any captures. In fact, let's just check it out. So here we can actually look at the position, right? So now it's black to move. There's no captures. There's checks, so we should actually consider that. But this is, I think, where my quiescent search fails. Okay, so quiescent search makes sense to that point, but here there's a check, and my quiescent search script. The program I wrote, I think it was earlier this week, it would consider this, and it would sort of require that you consider this, and then all of a sudden you're down a queen. So it evaluates this position as being down a queen, or not down a queen, being down a rook, I suppose, rook and bishop, when in fact, you would never make that check. You would never try. This is a check. It's a loud move, but you would not want to do it. So I want to give the quiescent search the option to just stop. To choose not to make a capture. The downside to that is, well, there's two downsides to it. One is that if you have two pieces facing each other, right, like in this position, if you don't consider making this capture, you really have to consider moving the piece out of the way to avoid this confrontation, right? This confrontation going back and forth. And that's okay. That's not a big deal. I think I can live with that. The other direction is Zugzwang, right? The idea that it's when you're stuck in a position and you're forced to make a move, and all the moves are bad. And this analysis, doing quiescent search when you're allowed to just not make a move, it might lead you to think that you're safe when you're actually not, because you actually are forced to make a move. Again, that's kind of a corner case that I might be okay with. Like if our bot does really well, except for facing these strange end games, not strange, but rare end game scenarios, that's enough progress for now. So let's try that. So what I want to do is I want to say, right, what it's doing is it's quiescent search is running a recursive search of what's my best move, what's my opponent's best move if I do that, but it's only allowed to make captures or checks or avoidance of checks, or check evasions. So I want to give it also an option to, I guess, exit early, which is tricky because the way that I structured the code, it doesn't really allow us to exit early. But I can hack that in there. So I will allow, I'll give it a flag that allows me to do this. So I'm going to call it something like early stop is true. And I'll add that to the inputs to this negamax score function. Stop equals false. So by default, it'll be false, but this will turn it on for quiescence search. And the idea is that I suppose what I'll do is I will have it choose to I'll allow it to consider not making a move. So in fact, the way to do that is that I will have the best score be, I think I can do this. If I say, so if early stop, then I will allow it to take the current evaluation of the board as the score. Rather than having to compute forward, it just says, let's just stop here. So I guess that would look like, I think it would just be this. No, I don't want, oh, actually, yeah, that works. So I can set the best score to that. But then there is no best move. I think that's still okay. And the idea is this would just return the best score. I think that might work. Okay, so how do I test what I'm doing? Let's just think of it, or rather, first I could just like walk through the logic. But yeah, if I just did this, what would happen? So what would this look like? So right now it would evaluate the current. No, this is not the position. Okay, so this position's okay. So like the quiescent search, the way I had implemented it before was fine. This is where things got messed up. So it's black to move. Let's say we looked ahead to this to all the possible. We looked ahead a few moves and we've stopped, and we want to run quiescent search. So at this point we're saying, okay, well, how do we evaluate this position? As a human, we would say, there is a check available, but there's no basically there's no forcing moves that we should be considering. There's the check, but it would be bad. So we could just sort of call this the quiet position, right? This is actually a quiet position because the loud move is not good, right? The loud move for the player whose turn it is not helpful. So that's a reason for us not to continue searching forward into the game. So is this correct? Now, if we score this position, we would get something like 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So we're up a pawn. So it's like -2 in like Stockfish's ratings, but not in our algorithm we rate it based on whose turn it is to play. So this would be +2. It would be +2 in this situation. So is that what we want? So +2, and then we would consider, okay, well, in addition to, we could go +2, or we can get +2 by doing nothing, or we can try this and see what happens. And it turns out after you try this, you do a capture it back, or you find something. I mean, I guess technically the king could evade that way, but that's not the best move for white, so the king would take there, and then all of a sudden now we're down 7. It's not good. Okay, so I think this should work. Let's just try running it. I guess what I should do is, let's try this position, right? This particular position. I'm thinking if I plug this position into the code and I ask it to try, and I ask it to run to a maximum depth of 1, I think. Let's see what that does. So it's going to calculate the move from here. It's black to move. It's going to run to max depth 1. So it's just going to try to find the best. Maybe I want to do max depth 0. So it's going to immediately do quiescence search, I think. So if I do max depth 0, I can't actually do that. I can't do that. So it doesn't let me call that. So I have to call it as where do I set this? So search is just here, and max depth equals depth. There's a self.max depth. Oh, okay, I see. I guess I need to. Oh, I know what I need to do. I'm gonna run negamax, not. Well, I'll run quiescence search. Actually, this returns a score. Oh, okay, yeah, that's how I'll do it. Okay, so I'm just gonna run quiescence search. So I'll just set this to be, and this is fine. So I'll just comment that out, and I'll do score. Okay. Let's just chop this up. Okay, so we're doing score equals engine.quiescence search, and we're going to give it the board. And I guess let's just run that and see what it says. Oh, I have to print out the score. Okay, let's print it. Let's run it. Nope. I started my bot. I did not want to do that. Oh, is my bot still running? Okay, let me turn off my bot. Oh, okay. In the last stream, I made all these changes to the bot, and then I tried to play a game, and it was not accurate. It was what I had a previous version of the bot running in the background, and so that was controlling all the moves, and so we were sort of observing it incorrectly. All right, so we have a score of 2. So how does that compare with what we think this score should be? So we're looking at this position. Yeah, the score of 2 seems right? So there's eight points of material for the pieces, 3 pawns, and then we have 4 pawns and 9 points of material. So yeah, so 2 seems correct. That's with this early stop thing going. Now if I turn off the early stop, let's see if it actually does have the error that I was afraid of. So I'm going to remove that and run it. Yeah, see, that it thinks the score is 7. Wait, why is it positive 7? Okay, so this is potentially a bug. So okay. The good thing is that our changed the score. The bad thing is they were the same sign. I kind of expected the score to be -7. All right, so here with early stopping, it's allowed to just say, okay, let's evaluate this position as is. But without early stopping, it's forced to consider this. Is there another capture I'm missing? Or another allowed move that I'm missing? Let's see. Like, how did he get +7? Like, this looks like is there a bug in my? Do I have the wrong? Am I returning the wrong sign for the score? That's entirely possible. But yeah. So I mean, if things were working the way they should be, this should be -7. So that's 2. Let me just get this right. So with early stopping off, with my original code from before I started the stream, we're getting +7. That's giving too much credit to this position. That's like, this position is not that good. I mean, it's good, right? We're obviously winning, but oh shoot, how do I? Okay, yeah. So this is +2. I believe that it should be +2. I mean, okay. Stockfish would rate this much higher than +2 because it's probably. Actually, I don't know. What does Stockfish think about this? Okay, a little more than +2, +5. I guess at some point you'll be able to fork the rook and then, you know, I mean, this might as well just be like +1,000,000 at this point. But so what is? But now our problem is that I'm getting a. I mean, this 7 is coming out of. I don't understand the 7. So what can we do? I guess I can really trace this by. I think what I'll do is I will. I'm just curious. One other thing I want to do today is just increase the maximum depth for Quiescence search. So right now it's set to the default. So I want to just make that bigger because there's a lot fewer moves. So let's go to depth. Let's go to depth 8 because I think that we shouldn't ever go too deep because there's not that many. You know, you're not gonna have like eight captures in a row or something. That's pretty rare. Although that can happen, like with checks, that can happen in endgame situations. But let me see if we get a different number here. No, same number. So now the question is, what does the board look like at the point it's getting at the point that it's getting the 7? So why don't we? So for Quiescent search, a lot of times it should end when there's no more moves available. So where is that situation? That's happening when we're here. So when there's no moves available, I want to just print the board. Okay, we're looking at this position, which is annoying. That's really annoying to read. Okay, so let's do. Oh, and it's happening multiple times. Interesting. All right, so. Let's look at all of them. So we'll get the fen and we can put it on in lichess and we can look at them. So this one is here. Yeah, this is the position I was considering. I was expecting, right? So that was after the capture, after the queen does a stupid check and then the king just takes back. What else is happening? There's also this position that appears. How did it get there? Okay, we should investigate that. And then also this one. Oh, all right, I see. That's a different. Okay, I didn't. Why did I not consider that? Okay, so there's okay. Back to the original position. If we just go back here. Yeah. So two of them. One of them's like this, right? That's a quiet position. And that's fine. And then another one's like this, and that's and that's the other position. There was a third one. How did we get to that? I guess. Oh, you know what? It was probably that. Okay. Oh, sorry. I think one more move, and then at this point it's a quiet position. So it's the white player is allowed to consider all the possible ways of evading the check. So that includes this. Okay, so in either case, it still scored this strangely because it should be scoring this as -7, which means there's a bug that could be causing our bot to play the worst possible move rather than the best possible move, which is which might explain why sometimes it just does some silly things. So how do I track this down? So I guess here, where was that print I just made? The print statement happens, nope, here, nope, here. Let's print, all right, let's print the score. Oh, is this supposed to be minus? Is that the whole problem? I think that's it. Yeah, it's supposed to be minus. That's the bug. Because everywhere else I return the negative evaluation function. And the reason I do that, well, this is weird. This is after making a move, right? No, this is not after making a move. Because normally if we just hit the maximum depth, we return the score for the current position. Is that logic incorrect? Am I doing that incorrectly? Let's think about the base case. So suppose you're just making a single move and counting the material. The evaluation function where did I put my material count function? Material count material in the new position for the player who just moved. So I always count the material for the player who just moved. In this case, that's also correct. Oh, you know what? The problem is in this case. No, that's correct. So the player who just moved. Yeah, I don't think this should be negative. So this is consistent. This is now we're returning the score for the player who just moved. That gets returned to a parent who has to then consider whether it gets negated. And that should happen in here. And there we return the best score. Yeah, it's 7. One of the problems is that I'm also like spending time debugging a situation that shouldn't happen, right? Once I fix this was a bug in the first place, but I'm worried that it's revealing something that's just wrong almost all the time. Let me try a different position. Let's do some more experiments. So I'll put this fix in, but let's say, well, what else can we do to test this? I guess I can just create. I'll just create a new. Create a new simple situation. So I'll just clear some kings so it's a legal position, and I'm gonna make like a pawn exchange sequence. I guess. What's a good one? How do I do this? How do I do one that's interesting? Or maybe oops, I meant that to be white. Okay, so here's the situation. Let's see. So why don't we say bishop? Oops, I keep forgetting what color. All right, so in this position, Quiescence search would consider this to be even, right? So because there's a hanging pawn, and that's what we really want to understand. We want to understand when there's a hanging piece. Am I correct? Oh no, this is even worse. I set up a pin. Something else. So what else is happening here? So is it worse than a hanging pawn? Not really. I missing? I'm not as smart as, serious chess players. Yeah, so Stockfish says it's even. Oh, it's with white to move. Let me go back. Let's change this. I think I can just change it here. B. Okay, what does Stockfish think now? Yeah, okay. That's weird. It's even no matter whose turn it is. Yeah, so even though materially white has an extra pawn, this is even because because it's hanging and there's just not enough defenders for it. So let's see what our program says about this. So plug it in here, give it a run. Yeah, so it says -1. That's black to move. That's weird. I kind of think I would have expected +1 or 0. Oh no, it's -1. Okay, yeah, okay, I get it. It thinks it's -1 because it's not aware of this capture. So that's not working correctly. Okay, let me try. Just out of curiosity, let's turn this off. Yeah, this time it says 0. So for some reason okay, first off, there's a bug in this, which is not where I want to allow it to do early stopping, and it's kind of doing the wrong thing. It's like it's choosing not to make the capture. Maybe this should be minus that. Oh, yeah, maybe this should be minus. Let me think. So we're looking for the best score for the current player, but we haven't made a move yet. So yeah, it should be minus. So now I think we get 0. Okay. All right, so that's good, I suppose. Now we have it's doing what it's supposed to do in this position. So it's evaluating this to be even. Stockfish says it's like a slightly better. That's not a meaningful 0.1. But now, what about that negation problem? All right, so now, okay, now just to like really make it totally. Oops, shoot, I lost it. Where's the edit? I think I just go like here and I do board editor. All right, let's just add some more material. And I don't want to make the position too much more complicated, so maybe I can. Okay, I know this is not a possible position. I mean, it is possible. It requires some really strange things to happen, but I wanted to add this piece because it doesn't add any extra moves, so it doesn't make the position more complicated. So let's check this out. So if I get the fen for this. So what do we predict here? So it says previously it said it was even. Now it should say if it's white to whose move is it? It's black to move. It should be -3. It's 0. Why does it say it's 0? That's not correct. I mean, unless I'm missing a forced move here. Oh, wait, what? Stockfish says it's 0? Okay, what's the sequence here? Okay. That's a mate. Wait, no, what? Why is this stuck? Am I missing something? No, my browser was just, no, wait, hold on. Is it insufficient material? Is this a draw? I think this is a draw. I don't. What is? Okay, so I just set up a bad example, right? Because that's what they're saying here. Right? This is a draw because. Yeah. Okay. That's annoying. All right. So let's go back to that editor. All right, I don't mind making it more complicated, so let's just add a rook. And now, just to make sure Stockfish doesn't think this is... Okay, good. All right. So we should expect our AI to do something like -5. +5. Okay, well, that's not good, but now let's just see the other direction. Let's make sure we get negative values ever. Maybe they don't, like, just to really drill down on what the bug is. You know, am I really, like, if I just, you know, let's get rid of that. Get rid of that rook, and I'll put this rook in. And let's see what Stockfish says. Okay, yeah, okay, it should be the other way. So whatever, you know, I had +5 with the extra rook. Now it should be -5, -4, -4. It seems flipped. What am I doing wrong? Quiescent search. So I have to think about the contract for each of my scoring functions, because it's actually confusing, right? So this one, the basic score function is the material count, which is up here, material count, and you know, the contract is that it's the score for a new position for a player who just moved. So it's like evaluating what happens after you make a move. Negamax, on the other hand, I don't think it's. I think it's okay, so is it evaluating the position for the player that just moved? Unclear. Let's see. I think it should be, right? According to the way that search calls it. So search, you know, makes the move. Oh, and does a board.copy. I didn't realize it was doing that. I thought I'd gotten rid of that. So in fact, should I fix that? That's okay. It's at the top level. It's all right. So yeah, so it pushes the move and then it evaluates the score. So it is the score for the player who just made the move. So that's also correct. So then is Quiescent search also doing that correctly? Quiescent search is up here, and it's returning the Negamax score. And it might trigger this early stop. And it might also trigger I guess those are the only. Oh, this should only happen with Crescent search. So I guess, you know, wait, maybe this should be minus. I don't know. Let's think about this. Like, why am I putting minus here and not there? Yeah, there's some inconsistency here. So why is this not the same? So early stop happens. Oh, I see. Early, because this is going to be negated down here. So these are different operations. This is not returning the value. This is just setting the value, the best value seen so far, to be what the score for the current player if it doesn't make a move now. Which I think, I don't know, I just concluded that I need to negate it, but now I'm not so sure. No, I do. I must need to negate it. So then, what about here? This is if there's no legal moves. I think this also needs to be negated, because this only happens when you have no legal loud moves. At which point we should just say, let's just score the current position, and to score the current position, you have to get the then we have to return the negation. We score the negation of the current position, which is equivalent to giving the original evaluation score. I mean, my logic says that what I'm doing is right, but the numbers say they're wrong. So I don't know. Let's just negate it and see what we get. So we're getting -4, and if I change this, do I get the right number? It doesn't change anything. It's also -4. So this is not happening in this particular example, or this is not affecting the outcome. And if I don't allow to do the early stopping, we get a score of 0. That doesn't look right. How could this be worth 0? So what logically should happen without the early stopping is that we're going to evaluate this position under like checkers rules, right? Like the game checkers, where any available capture must be taken. So it must be either this or this. In either case, the next, then, oh, I know. So then there's this, and then the king moves, and then this capture, this check is forced to happen. The king moves here, and then another check is forced to happen, and then you lose the rook. So yeah, that's why it's going to 0. Well, that makes me doubt the logic here. Like, that doesn't sound like the right logic we want for evaluating the position. And then also the fact that if you are if you do use if you're in check, then you are forced to move. So we can't really allow someone to not make a move if they're in check. So that logic, so I don't know about this logic either. I mean, how do we fix this? It kind of all comes down to the fact that Quiescence Search is a hack, and it was introduced with early chess engines, which is like basically we're just mimicking some early chess AI implementations with this code. And really what you should do is like search deeper, but that's expensive because you're dealing with exponential growth. So Quiescence Search shrinks the search space, but it runs into this problem where you can't really define what the different moves are, or what the different reduced move set should be. Well, I guess I can do. It is quite a hack, but I can do. I can not allow early stopping if there's a check. I can do that. That avoids that problem. What's the problem? Is there an extra space? I think there's an extra space. So we can do that. That'll help. I don't love this idea because board.isCheck is slightly expensive. I mean, it's not expensive. It's just some computation. Like, it has to iterate over the board a little bit. But let me see if I, okay, so if I run this, the score is still 0. But it shouldn't be 0. We don't want it to be 0. We want it to be, what do we want? Let's just think about what we want, actually remind myself what I actually want out of this position. So if I were to evaluate this position without, you know, just like based on material count, but taking into the account the fact that there's a hanging pawn that's like easy to take. Yeah, it should be +5 for the current player, right? So again, we're not using stockfish style, you know, plus minus scoring. The Negamax algorithm scores for the current player, so it should be +5. I mean, this is forced. It's not, you know, it's not completely forced, but like there's no better move than to wait, hold on. Well, in either case, either you take or you don't. You know, if you don't, then black is up a rook. I guess it's probably better not to take, so that you have more chances to cause confusion. I mean, if this were like a blitz game or something. But in either case, yeah, like we should be +5. So why am I getting 0? All right, let's do some more printouts of the different positions we're reaching. I guess we'll print it. Let's try printing here. Oh, sorry, not there. I want to be inside the Negamax. All right, let's do here. Let's just. Oh, okay. Well, that's going to be annoying. Let's just try to infer what happened by printing the terminal nodes. So we're talking, you know, if you reach the maximum depth, which I don't think we're happening. So let's just check this one. Let's just say what it is. Early stopping at, oh shoot, this should be and not board. That might be my problem. Okay, you know what? I'm confident that this is going to give me a 5 of some sort, right? So my problem was I had written that you cannot make a you cannot just stop if you are in check, but I'm sorry, I wanted to say you can't stop if you're in check. Hi, Killing A. I said that you cannot. I missed another chat. Hi, Envy. Okay. So right. I think I want to say not is board is in check, right? So like the point is that if there's no check right now, then you should be allowed to just sort of consider the position as is. But if you're in check, you have to consider what happens after you get out of check. -4. Okay, that's a little better. All right, so now why is it -4 though? That still doesn't sound right. So let's just print those out again. So I'm going to say early stopping, and then print that board dot check. No, not check. Fen. All right, and then the other situation is this, right? So I'll say found quiet position, and we'll print the board, and then we'll examine these. Okay, there's a lot of these. All right, well, let's try. Okay, so early stopped here. Let's just go in order. Let's look at that. Why did it consider this move? So just for, you know, it used to be like, oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm sorry. It considered this move because, I'm in a mistake. This is printing every single possible opportunity to early stop. So it's not printing only when when it's not printing when we actually did choose the early stop. So actually the check for whether we did that would be, I think, at the end of this for loop, which ends here. So I think it would be here if best move is none. I think that's where we see early stopping. And yeah, all right, so let's go in order again. So if at a quiet position at this, that here, which, whoa, oh, if with position, I'm just gonna rotate the board. Yeah, so this is how did this happen? Looks like there's at some point there's a way for me to output like this the whole like line, but I don't know how to do that right now. I'd have to look up how to access that. But I mean, okay, it's something like this. No, but that's not what we had. We somehow ended up here. No, not that one. Copy. What? It's not copying. Yeah, that's fine. That's normal. Okay, I see. So yeah, so we captured the pawn, and then this piece was there. You know what? I need to. This is really hard for me. I'm gonna open a new tab with this. And I'm just gonna open a tab of that. All right, so what are we looking at? So somehow we ended up here. And just so for our sanity, we'll flip the board. So what we're looking at, yeah, I mean, so, okay, all this was the straightforward sequence of events. And so we found a quiet position. That's what I want. It would be useful for me to evaluate to print the score, but I don't trust that exactly, because actually, right, I think whatever it prints out, it will be passed to its parent, which will then negate it. So actually, maybe the negations are okay. But now what we want is, oh, let's check this one out. So there's another quiet position it found, which is this. Again, we'll flip the board. So how did it? Is that different? Is this? Oh, this is after. Okay, this is after. Then you make it. At some point you check the king, and then you trade the rook for nothing. So at some point you do that, and that can happen in multiple points. And I would guess you'd find that multiple times. But all right, let's see other positions. How did I get here? What? Okay, so you could go like this. Hold on. So how do we lose the pawn? How do we trade the pawn for the rook and the bishop, and then all while only using forcing moves? I mean, maybe I don't need to worry about this. I believe it. Can I output the PGN? Maybe that's all I need to do. So I'm gonna check this. Oh shoot! Yeah, here we go. Okay. So reading game, write game. If I print game is a PGN game. Okay, maybe if can I get a game from board? Board gets the board. I want to go from a board to a game that has all the sequence of moves. Visit board builder. No, it keeps going the wrong way. parsing. No, that's reading. Huh? Okay, that's annoying. Because so in Python chess, this library, they have the board object stores a sequence of moves, but I can't. I want to output that sequence in a way that's easy to read, and a PGN would do that. But all right, this is something I got to figure out another time. So in the meantime, I don't know. I believe this. I believe that's real. So I don't know. I think the main question I have. Well, there's a possibility here. There's a possibility that the negation I was worried about is actually okay, because it depends. What I was thinking is that right now we're evaluating this position where it's black to move, but it finds a quiet position later down in that recursion. Like it makes a few moves and it says, okay, I found a quiet position. So then it scores that quiet position for that player, the player that just moved. But then as it sort of goes back up back toward this position. Like as the recursive calls return their values, they get negated. They get negated as they are supposed to be, and so maybe I'm still getting the correct evaluation. No, that is not correct, because I'm printing the score that I returned that is returned. So it's not correct. I did not talk my way out of this. So what is... Alright, so is this still wrong? So it's saying it's -4. It's saying this position is -4, but it's black to move. Black should be happy. It should be +5. So in that case, I'm going to print... nope. Where am I printing? It's this. Print best score and here we'll print all right. So we found these quiet positions. This position, it says it's 5. It's 5 with white to move, which means that black just moved. So this is +5 in favor of black, which is what we want. So where's it getting this -4? There's a 4 somewhere. So this is -4. So if somehow it thinks this is the position that's most critical. Oh no, I just... It's the original position. It's evaluating the original position as the most critical. And that would be happening because it's considering doing nothing. Which probably means, it probably means this should be positive, but does that make any sense? That doesn't really make any sense, right? So I'm just going to flip it and see what numbers we get. So now we get score 0, which is not what we want. We want score... Yeah, so flipping it didn't work. So it still it still thinks it's -4. And that comes from an early stopping case. Early stopping here, it happens here because it did not find a best move. Which no, it can't happen here. So that means that it generated a score here and then it tried a bunch of scores and it never found anything good, anything better. Oh man, debugging recursion is not easy. I wonder what move it would find in this position. Let's try to let's see what it would return. So if I do search, I have to give it can I just do that? This should not be score. Well, okay, I'm having it print the score, but it's not. Okay, I need to give it time limit into ponder. So let's just do, I don't know. Oh, it's gonna print so much stuff. I have to turn off these printings. Okay, let's see. This whole thing I want to turn off, and this print scripts, so print lines I want to get rid of, and now I think it's okay. Now it's searching. That's good. Right. So what it's telling me is it found 16 moves with score 4. That's pretty good. Oh, you know what? I should actually give it a real time limit. I don't want to spend too long on this. Let's just make it do real fast. All right, so it says G6 E8. That doesn't sound like a good move at all. I don't know why I would. Okay. Ran out of time of depth 1, so we didn't even get to finish depth 1. So let's give us a little more time. Still ran out of time at depth 1. Okay, so it got to depth 2. Okay, now it likes pushing the rook up. Why isn't it taking this free pawn? Okay, out of curiosity, if I turn off, is this my Quiescence search causing a problem? Well, I guess, right, this is a situation where there's some tricky stuff going on, right? If it's not so simple for it to say, okay, this is a free pawn, because it depends on what depth it goes to. If it goes to depth 1, then it looks like a free pawn. If it goes to depth 2, then it looks like it's a terrible move. You just lost, you lost a knight. But then it has to go to depth 3 to see that you can take the knight back for free. So it has to get to depth 3 to really find the right move. But Quiescence search should give that to us for free, right? Making one move, now the next move is forced, and the next move is forced, and so we should see at depth 1 the correct sequence of moves. So Quiescence search is not really functioning correctly. Man, I thought I'd be able to fix this really fast, but it seems like I'm introducing even more problems than when I started. But okay, let's test this. If I were to say remove Quiescence search, or temporarily remove, so I can do that by evaluation function, material count, evaluation function. Where do I do this? I want to make it here. This. So I'll just put in a little. No, it's material count, and I'll just comment this out. Okay, so this is like no Quiescence search, back to alpha beta pruning or negamax pruning. I will run it with a time limit, a bigger time limit, so it can go as long as it needs. I think this should find the free pawn. Yeah, I think it's found the free pawn just based on what it's what we're seeing with uh, yeah, the fact that there's two moves with score 5, and that's because you can capture either way, right? Either way that you capture that pawn. If you go back to the board, if you capture with either of these pieces, you should be up 5. So that seems good. But I mean, it's good and bad. Oh, then what is this? Oh, sorry, no, this move's right. It was B8. No, it's moving the king. That's weird. It found more moves at depth 5. So at depth 4, it found 2 moves, which was correct. But then at depth 5, it found even more moves. Is that because this is pinned? Because this pawn is pinned, is it possible that moving this king? What did it suggest? A7. Moving this king here doesn't give white a way to escape losing that pawn. I mean, so it can't, it needs to defend the pawn, so the knight can't move. Well, no, it can, because what's the point? Yeah, I guess it's still, I guess this is still +5. That's interesting, but not good, right? Like, yeah, something I've been wanting to do is change the material count. So rather than like the actual count of the material, but to make it the ratio of material, so that way it would prefer to trade down when it's up, right? So right now the ratio is, I mean, well, but then will it even do that if it's forced? I mean, I guess the point is that if you can look ahead enough moves, you can go like that. You can just move anywhere, and as long as you can't be. No, as long as this pin is maintained, I guess at this point you would need to make the captures, but as long as the pin is maintained, I think it's. Well, no, I mean, wait, hold on. This looks bad. I guess the point is, okay, so what Stockfish is saying is the rook can move anywhere, basically. But now this pawn's defended by defended by 2 pieces, but now attacked by, well, okay, let's say I move the rook here. The pawn is now defended and attacked by 2 pieces. So how is this still plus? I mean, I guess if you look deep enough, you can always just, I mean, we have so much, this is such a huge material advantage. So it's like I said before, even though this is like +5 materially, it's really like +1,000,000 and the game's over. But at low depth, at depth 5, I'm not sure that is our code doing the right thing here. I don't know. This is disappointing because I wanted to quickly fix a thing and see the bot perform better, but now instead I doubt whether the bot worked I'm doubting whether the bot worked at all. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put it back in. I'm going to put back what I did with Quiescent search with the early stopping, and I'm going to play a game and see what behavior we see. Okay, let's watch a game with our bot. So I will just let it run. Let's open up the main script. It's running apparently. I don't know if my bot was playing a game just now. All right, so let's see. Let's go back to the home page, and I'll play a game against. Let's not be too ambitious. We'll go Stockfish level 2. I'll make it. Let's do rapid. So I'll just this way we can see what's happening. So it got to depth 3, but it should be, depth 3 is like deceptively small. It's depth 3, but it has depth 8 quiescence search, so it can look ahead like 8 captures or forcing moves after it reaches depth 3. And then okay, so the other thing I wanted to do, like if you can see in my notes about what I wanted to do today, I wanted to fix quiescence search. I don't know if we did that. I don't really trust what I did, but I don't have. I'll have to stop in a minute. The other thing I want to do is diagnose the opening play. So what we're seeing is tons and tons of moves, like 21 moves with score 0. Right. Last time I found 7 moves with score 0. 20 moves with score 0, and this is typical of artificial intelligence bots for chess in the opening, because pretty much any move for the first 5 moves is legitimate in some sense, because there's refutations for everything, and so you just end up with even positions, technically even, but ones that are harder to play than others, and so if you watch a lot of the games that BirdBot has played, a lot of times it just makes really terrible random moves in the beginning, and then in the middle game it starts to play a little bit better. It's pretty good at evaluating trades. It won't make one move blunders unless occasionally I've had bugs in it that cause it to do that, but it doesn't usually make one move blunders. And then in the end game, it's really strong because it can, just look ahead. It's not super strong because its maximum depth is, what did I set it to? 8? What did I set it to? 6? I think I set it to 6. So it can only look ahead 6 moves, and that's not 6. That's not 6 moves for itself. It's 6 moves total. So it's really 3 moves, right? We can look ahead 3 moves, if you count each player's moves. So okay, this is actually, it's moving along. So if we go back, see what happened. It just won a pawn, I guess. But did it really win a pawn, or did Stockfish just do something? Oh, it didn't really win a pawn. It can, it kind of did if it plays this right. Because Stockfish probably should have taken back, but not necessarily. Oh, what is that? Okay, so yeah, I was just saying it doesn't make one move blunders, but I don't know why I thought that was a good move. And then Stockfish doesn't take advantage. So am I missing something? Probably not. It's probably just what? No, see, this looks like a bug. Black has compensation. Yeah. So the pawn was not great, but this is not good, right? This situation. Stockfish's move still wins the piece. True. Yeah, this the fork here, but yeah, okay, and so maybe Stockfish has an advantage where it gains space, and still gets the piece. Yeah, so I don't know why our bot did that, right? That seems like it's a complete error, right? I don't. If we just go back, there's no. I don't see any. Why did? This looks like just a straight up bug, because I don't see any reason why. Even if, again, we had to think like the bot. It can only look ahead at most 3 moves. It probably only looked ahead. It looked ahead only 2 moves. So even if it looked ahead 2 moves, I mean, it must have seen that it would be, you can take back, and then I don't see any. I don't know. I guess maybe the king's more open. Is there? But probably not. Yeah, right. That's the idea. This is the point. The point is that this bot is not good. We're not just building on Stockfish. We're not building on any open source. Well, okay, I'll say that we are building on open source software with the Python chess library. So that's doing a lot of the work of figuring out what the legal moves are, whether something's in check and all that. I didn't want to deal with that. So, and then there's some really good software, like Python chess is really good. So we're using Python chess to do that, but in general, we're working with the basic AI algorithms, something. This comes from I would do this stuff, or I would assign this stuff for homework for artificial intelligence, but traditionally we do that with like simpler games, and with chess it's a lot harder, or there's a bigger branching factor, so it's harder. So it's interesting to see if any of the techniques that kind of come out of the textbook for game playing AIs actually work early on. But yeah, this is it's not going well for us. But Stockfish level 2 will also blunder quite a bit, so I'm pretty sure, I mean, there's an opportunity for us to come back. Probably not, though. I don't know. I mean, that was a pretty big... Well, I mean, with the queen out there, maybe we could... I think we're just not hitting a deep, big enough depth, right? It keeps running out of time at depth 2, which means we haven't even searched all the possible replies to our moves, right? Depth 1 is the move that we make. Depth 2 is the replies that the opponent will make. So I think... I mean, some of this is just like optimization, making the code faster. Another part of this is that I'm using Quiescence search for every evaluation. So if every, the cost of Quiescence search is going to be, is going to make it slower for us to look ahead. You're thinking about square tables? What do you mean? Can you say more about that? Oh, it's not putting pieces on good squares. Yeah, I think that people I've seen something like that, right? So right now, like the basic scoring for any position is just counting material, which is obviously like missing a lot of information. So yeah, people talk about like finding the best squares for each position, or sorry, not piece, for each piece. I'm a little hesitant to do some of that because, like, what defines a good square for a piece is really like what moves are available to it, and that's kind of what the whole search algorithm is doing. So the problem is that what I worry about is like double counting that, right? Like so the search algorithm is trying to look ahead for moves, but then you also have a scoring function that pretends to look ahead. But at the same time, I think what would be great is to do that as like a tiebreaker against material, right? The raw thing is material. But then as a tiebreaker, like we said at the beginning, there are tons of moves that are worth 0 material advantage. So we could, we could do that. We could. Oh, I see what you mean by square. I was thinking like a table would be square, but you mean like the tables of squares that are good. Yeah. I think that would be a really good tiebreaker for the positions where you're not just gaining an obvious material, obvious material advantage. Yeah, originally I had written in my yeah, right, exactly. It's not always better. It depends on this. It depends on like the pawn structure and all that. So that's why you want to be careful not to just like let that be the deciding factor. But if it, again, tiebreaker would be really good. And so previously I had used space as a tiebreaker, where I was just counting how many squares does each color control, and I did that, but what happened was that the bot would just bring out the queen right away. Like the queen, a tie-breaking move or a position that's also worth 0 material is putting, moving a pawn out of the way and then just bring the queen out. First move, second move, move the queen out, and you get a ton of space from that. But when you do that, you get chased around really easily, and you end up losing. Yeah, I guess maybe a lot of engines were there too. Anyway, let's see. So where are we now? Okay, it looks like we're up a pawn. How did that happen? Okay, yeah, Stockfish, I guess you could argue, is trying to open up the king, but I don't know. That could have just been level 2 doing level 2 things. Your favorite opening would be, e4, bring the queen out, maximize mobility. Yeah. Oh, we just moved our... Now that our kings open up, I guess our bot is thinking, just go join the party. I don't know why I did that. All right, so where are we? So It's possible we might. Yeah, like I said, we might win this game because level 2. It's not the most competent opponent, but we are playing poorly. I can say that, and so it could be bugs. It could be. I mean, it might not be a bug. It might just be depth 3 is the most we've searched, and that's not very far, right? You're looking at ran out of time at depth 1. Interesting. Yeah. See, this is a problem when we use Quiescence search. I might have inadvertently made the bot even weaker than it was before I added in Quiescence search, because it's spending a lot of time looking at all the possible captures when it could just be like, okay, we're down too much material in this position, let's not bother. So I had to think about for the next session. I don't know if I do need to get going really soon, but I don't. Oh shoot, this is interesting. How are we gonna be defend this right? I would guess trading the queens would be a good strategy, but no. How do you even do that with bishop? This bishop's right there. I think we're in trouble. Block with the knight. I don't know. What's the bot gonna do? Oh, it wasn't even. Wait. Oh, we just ducked out of the way. Did I not see that? Yeah. Envy, you're saying that Stockfish is going to beat real chess, or was going to play real chess, beating a fair amount of players. Yeah, I think what I noticed with Stockfish is that it makes like really stupid blunders, like randomly, but then every other time it sort of plays perfectly. So the question is, can our bot take advantage of those blunders? And unclear. The answer is unclear. I mean, it did a little bit earlier to get that so yeah, depth 2, not level 2. Stockfish full strength with cap depth. I don't know what that looks like. Oh, I see. You're saying depth 2. Well, so I think the way that Stockfish counts depth in its implementation, it means number of moves, and whereas what I'm counting is basically half moves. So when this gets to depth, oh, this is really messed up. It's like getting, oh no, so ran out of time at depth 2. So this is not even finishing evaluating the replies to your moves, to our moves. So it's definitely running out of time. This is a problem with my. Yeah, when I set Quiescent search to be depth 8, that might have been where I really messed up my engine. In fact, I can just restart it. It will continue the game from here. I don't like that it's searching to depth 8. And making it so that it can't actually evaluate real. What am I doing here? Depth 8. Let's do 4 again. I'm just going to restart it. But yeah, I mean, Stockfish depth 2, I mean, 2 moves ahead is pretty good, right? If you can evaluate 2 moves ahead, that's definitely better than a lot of beginners. And then it has really good heuristics for evaluating a position without even looking ahead. That's something that my bot's completely missing right now. That's where I want to get to eventually, is using just like purely evaluation based, but using like a machine learning learned evaluation. So something, I think like the best, like Leela and AlphaZero, they are using both search, both look ahead with machine learning evaluation. But I'm curious what just a pure evaluation does, or if we just have it trained to just score positions and make the best scoring move without looking ahead. How good can that be? I'd be interested in trying that. All right, so now we're doing a lower depth Quiescence search, so we should be able to get a little deeper, but we're not. Right? We're still running out of time at depth 2. That's disappointing. It's a lot of this is my time management script is maybe not very good. What do we do? Maybe here. I had to be careful. I'm logged in as my bot, so I can actually make a move for my bot, which is illegal. I mean, it's not illegal, but it's cheating because I'm a human playing, with an engine or for the engine. Is that actually a good move? That looks like Stockfish just gave us the piece. Okay, that's interesting. Whoa. Bishop f3. Yeah. Wait. Oh, not before. Now it can't. Yeah. So it's a I don't know how the Stockfish algorithm works with the different levels. I don't know what the different what they're how they because that was some really bad move, bad play, like you said you saw a way to win our queen, but then it just gave up its own queen. So it's like that was at least an 18-point swing, but don't know why it did that. That's weird. So I think my understanding is that the levels on Stockfish are sort of this intentionally making bad moves at different rates, and our bot is trying to make the best move it can, and being and I guess now it's probably going to win, but maybe not. It could still lose its queen and do silly stuff, and this isn't completely over. I mean this rook is nowhere to be found. I don't see. It'll take quite a while for this rook to enter the game. So this is not completely over. But if Stockfish makes another blunder like it did before, well, again, it's not over because our bot is so buggy and problematic that it could easily it could easily lose. But this is where I was thinking using material ratio of material might be better than the actual count, because I would think as a human making this trade would be good, just to simplify. But that doesn't give you any raw material advantage. It just gives you a ratio, a better material ratio. A bot that doesn't hang material too easily can already win a lot. Yeah, just avoiding hanging material is good. It's what you'll again when this bot does one move blunders, that's usually because of a bug. So for the most part, it doesn't do one move blunders, and so as a result, it does it can play better than pure beginners. Where it definitely fails is in the opening. We're past the opening at this stage in this game, but against a competent bot or a competent player, it'll just move randomly while the player develops all its pieces. The opponent develops all their pieces, and then we're just in trouble. And yeah, I guess that's what this look ahead does, right? You look ahead 2-3 moves. That's basically how you avoid these simple blunders that beginners fall into, including me. That's how I lose a lot of games, is 1 move or 2 move blunders. Which, yeah. What's your plan for the develop correctly problems? Yeah, that's a challenge. This is what I was talking about. So what is the way to sort of score development? There's a couple things you can think of as sort of tiebreakers for material. One is space, which is what we talked about before, where you end up with you might end up just moving the queen out and getting a ton of space, and that's not good. Another one is piece coordination. I was thinking about we could sort of measure how much the pieces defend each other. Um, I mean, the real bots, what they use is the book, right? They have a database of openings, and that's like boring. I don't want to spend time doing that. I mean, that's just like hooking together a database. It's not very fun for me. Like, I want to think about a cool algorithm that like makes the decisions. But if it's just like looking up sequences of moves, that's not very interesting. But I think that's how the real bots do it. Like in the beginning, like the real AIs. Top engines play without book nowadays. So like AlphaZero and Leela, you don't think use books? I thought that they still do. They can play well. They'll get approximately 100% match with existing theory, various different openings. Okay. Right. So if you like make the first three moves, then it'll match theory. That makes sense. I think it's just the problem that, yeah, I guess maybe if you can look ahead, like if you can get to like depth 10, like if you can look like 10 moves ahead, maybe not even 10. Well, no, 10 by my count, right? So like that's like 5 moves. If you can look 5 moves ahead, then I would imagine you could match theory, because that's like the hard part, right? If looking 5 moves ahead is really hard for humans. Um, so that's why we have to memorize openings. But yeah, once you can look that many moves ahead, I guess you can probably match the best moves available. And that's like, even sharp openings, it's fine. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how much that is. So like the big revolution was AlphaZero, which is using neural networks to evaluate positions. That didn't actually change the search algorithms, right? They were still using the same search algorithms or slight modifications on them. So I wonder, because like Stockfish until recently was purely search, or at least it didn't have the neural network component. So, all right. So what happened? So we're winning. I'm guessing Stockfish just blundered a bunch of material, as it does at level 2. So if we go back, yeah, like that. Well, okay. Is there anything interesting happen here? I mean, this pin's kind of interesting, but we didn't really use it. All right. Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. So it's cool to hear your perspective, because it sounds like you know about like sort of behaviorally how all the engines worked, and then I'm trying to infer like what the algorithms were behind it, I don't know the answer. I haven't read these things. I just again, like my so actually not again. I haven't told you. So my view on this, or my history on this, is that I sort of I teach artificial intelligence, and so I've taught like the textbook like classical algorithms, and I no, I mean, but knowing about like how they behave from the perspective of a player is helpful, because I don't know that history. All I know is like the basic artificial intelligence algorithms, and then the more recent stuff about like AlphaZero. I know about some of that, but in between, I really don't know any like how that advanced over history. Let's see what we're getting out of this. We had a we're good. We're running out of depth at running out of time at depth 16. So we're trying to make fast moves, right? There's not much time. We have 2 minutes left. So now we're in basically blitz mode. Um, this might take a really long time. I've seen some games last a long time with these bots. Hmm. Interesting. So you saw engines get good at openings before the neural networks. Was Alpha Zero like 2017? It's a blog post from DeepMind in 2018. Yeah, that's interesting because I really thought that they were just doing search, but I also think that I thought that using the book was standard. So, but you're suggesting you might have seen some cases where they turned off the book and they still played really well, and that's interesting. Yeah, it's like maybe coming up with these tricks, like you said, the square tables. Once you combine all the tricks together with this, square tables with being able to look ahead, maybe at that point you're just basically as good as any master. Okay, so we really need to win this game now. We're up 22, 22 points of material. Uh, but the bot, until it sees a checkmate in range, is really just going to keep trying to grab material. And again, it still hasn't ever moved this rook, and it probably never will. Will it take this trade? It doesn't. It doesn't take the trade. Yeah. Again, as a human, at this point, well, no. I mean, I was just thinking I would take the two minor pieces for the rook, but you wouldn't even do that. You just attack the king. There's enough material for a mating net. Yeah. Well, six ply ahead is I mean, okay. A lot of this is I'm using Python and using Python chess. That's Python chess library. It's not super optimized for speed, and so I'm thinking six ply is like super far. Actually, it is really far. Like six moves ahead is, so the way that you calculate these things is it's exponential, right? And so in chess, on average, you have like 40 moves per side, and so if you're looking six plies, that's 12. That's 40 to the 12, which is like the number of atoms in the universe or something. Um, so, but you need smart algorithms to not have to look at all those possibilities. Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. So yeah, we have some basic pruning in this code right now, and that's why it's able to look four moves ahead sometimes. Um, in classical, it can go to like four, five, six moves ahead, but finally, okay, checkmate. Okay, so we won, which is good, I suppose. But yeah, like I said, this it made some weird moves. I think the first one we noticed was hanging that piece, um, hanging the bishop here, right? Like for nothing. This is worth diagnosing later. I should look into this. Like I don't know why I thought this was a good move. I mean, it probably has to do with the Quiescence search. So if we actually consider this, like the Quiescence search is going to say, all right, we're going to evaluate. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. We're going to evaluate this position, but to do that, we have to try every possible capture. So they're going to try this capture, but that doesn't. Well, yeah, that looks bad, right? So shouldn't that be? Yeah, shouldn't that be obvious that this is not a good move? Um, Grandmasters prune better. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the check. So you're saying, from a player's perspective, literally 90% of the moves are useless. Yeah, that's the interesting part about this is that humans have really good intuition for what to prune, and computers don't as much, and that's probably where like AlphaZero and the neural network methods are getting an advantage. But the old classical artificial intelligence methods had to consider every possible move, um, and then they prune only in kind of ways that don't remove the possibility, or rather, sorry, they prune in ways that guarantee they're not missing anything, um, which is not what humans do, right? Sometimes we take a gamble. We say, okay, well, that looks unlikely to lead anywhere, so let's not even bother calculating that line. Um, and computers are sort of not good at that. So, but getting them good at that would be a way to make them better. But that's a trade-off, I suppose, is that keeping them, taking advantage of the fact that they're super good at calculation, while also getting them the intuition for which lines to sort of to give up on. Yeah, I don't know. That's the path to making them stronger. But anyway, I want to diagnose this on a later session, but I gotta get going. Gotta do some yard work. Okay, so yeah, come visit next time. I'll be doing more of this debugging and trying to get this to work. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. All right, thanks for chatting, Envy. Thanks for watching, everyone else. Have a good weekend. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. You can find moves that the engine missed because it prunes so hard, so aggressively, especially further down, right? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. Have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.